What you're about to hear is a true story. In 2020, a young man moved to Hangzhou, China for work. At first, the apartment he rented seemed like an incredible deal. The complex was located in one of the most expensive areas of the city. Nearby apartments were selling for nearly 40,000 yuan per square meter. But strangely, the building he rented in was selling for only half that price. Then came another detail he couldn't ignore. Every night, very few lights are on inside the complex. Curious, he searched the address online. What he discovered shocked him so badly that he immediately broke his lease, abandoned his deposit, and moved out. Because this apartment complex was the site of one of China's most infamous cases, a case that once captivated hundreds of millions of people across the country. And it all began with a missing wife. July 2020. Police in Hangzhou received a bizarre missing persons report. A woman named Lai had vanished from her own home without a trace. The man speaking in front of television cameras was her husband, Xu. In interviews broadcast across China, Xu begged the public for help finding his missing wife. He even offered a reward of 100,000 yuan for useful information. According to Xu, her wallet hadn't been touched. Her phone was still at home. Her ID cards were still inside the apartment. He woke up in the middle of the night and discovered his wife was gone. Was she secretly meeting someone late at night, or had something much darker happened? Xu also mentioned that his wife suffered from insomnia and had poor sleep quality. Soon, some people began wondering if she had somehow wandered outside in a sleepwalking state. Chinese media quickly picked up the story. Within days, the disappearance exploded across social media. Millions of people followed the case in real time, analyzing every interview, every surveillance clip, and every police update. Meanwhile, investigators launched a massive search operation. The apartment complex had extensive surveillance coverage. Police reviewed footage from 96 cameras inside the complex, along with nearly 1,000 cameras from surrounding streets and nearby areas. But they found nothing. No footage showed Lai leaving the building. The final image of her was simple and ordinary. She was entering the elevator with her daughter and returning home that evening. After that, she vanished completely. Police mobilized over 100 officers. They searched 6 residential buildings, interviewed 379 households, and questioned more than 1,000 residents. Then they searched underground parking garages, rooftops, elevator shafts, water tanks, storage spaces. Police dogs searched nearby parks and ponds. Authorities even drained a decorative river near the complex. Still, there was absolute no trace of Lai. As days passed, Xu appeared increasingly emotional during interviews. He spoke about their young daughter and repeatedly told reporters how difficult life would become without his wife. But no miracle came. Online theories exploded across the internet. Some believed Lai had sleepwalked away. Others suspected security guards inside the apartment complex. Some even created wild theories involving kidnapping conspiracies or aliens. The pressure on police became enormous. How could a living person disappear from a heavily monitored apartment complex without leaving a single trace? Then, a single online comment changed everything. One internet user wrote, "Check the family's water usage." Police followed the suggestion, and what they discovered was horrifying. On the very day Lai disappeared, the apartment had used nearly 2 tons of water, far beyond what a normal family would use in a single day. Suddenly, investigators realized something terrifying. Maybe Lai had never left the apartment at all. The investigation immediately changed direction. Police stopped searching for a missing person and started searching for a body. Attention turned toward the apartment complex septic system. Authorities brought in more than 30 sewage trucks to drain and inspect the tanks. Then came the breakthrough. Human tissue fragments were discovered inside the septic tank. DNA testing later confirmed the remains belonged to Lai. Police immediately arrested Xu. At first, he denied everything. But after nearly 10 hours of interrogation, he finally confessed. He had murdered his wife. The question now became, why? Why would a couple who had fought so hard to be together end in such unimaginable horror? To understand that, investigators had to go back more than 30 years. Back in the 1980s, Xu moved to Hangzhou and met a 19-year-old woman named Lai. The two dated for several years, but Lai's parents strongly opposed the relationship, eventually forcing them apart. Years passed. The two moved to different cities, married other people, and both started families of their own. Decades later, they reunited. Old feelings resurfaced almost immediately. They decided to divorce their spouses and be together again. But Xu's first wife refused to agree to the divorce because their son was still young. Xu became violent and nearly strangled her. Eventually, she gave in. In 2008, Xu and Lai officially married. The following year, they had a daughter together. Later, the family received 2 apartments through a local redevelopment compensation program. The couple lived in one apartment. She wanted to give the second property to his son from his previous marriage, but Lai strongly opposed the idea. Investigators later believed this became one of the deepest sources of resentment inside the marriage. During trial proceedings, Xu eventually described the murder in horrifying detail. On July 4, 2020, the family had dinner together as usual. Later that evening, Xu and Lai argued again over small household issues. But according to prosecutors, the argument was only the final trigger. Years of tension involving money, property disputes, and disagreements about raising their daughter had already built up inside him. That night, Xu secretly crushed sleeping pills into his wife's milk. After she fell asleep sometime between 10 and 11 p.m., he pressed a pillow over her face until she stopped breathing. He later admitted that during the attack, Lai briefly woke up and even called out his name. But he continued anyway. What happened next shocked the entire country. Using skills he had learned while working in a slaughterhouse years earlier, Xu dismembered his wife's body inside the apartment. Some remains were destroyed with a meat grinder and flushed through the plumbing system. Other body parts were carried out over the following days inside backpacks, discarded in different locations. Then, he calmly pretended to be a grieving husband. He called his wife's eldest daughter from her former husband. He gave interviews. He was sad on camera, and all while knowing exactly where his wife was. Many people later questioned whether police had focused too heavily on the possibility that Lai voluntarily disappeared. Some believed investigators lost valuable time by trusting Xu's early statements, instead of immediately treating the apartment as the primary crime scene. If forensic testing had been conducted earlier, police might have uncovered the truth without weeks of massive searches, and 37 truckloads of sewage being pumped out. But in the end, perhaps the most tragic victim was the couple's young daughter. In a matter of days, she lost both parents. Her mother was murdered by her father, and her father was later sentenced to death. And don't forget, it is always the husband